Hello, welcome back to Buckle Up. My name is Rob Wilson and this is the brand new Mercedes-Benz C Class, and today I'm going to find out if it's any good. Right, let's start like we normally do at the front, where you can't really mistake this for anything other than a Mercedes-Benz because there are two badges to denote that. We've also got these very bright LED high performance lights, which means you can see very far at night. A couple of grills that are sort of blanked in on this model. This is a hybrid, but we'll talk more about that later. There is some actual aero going on here with some channels going along the side of the car, and there's a couple of nice creases in the bonnet as well. And then at the side we've got these aero inspired 18-inch alloy wheels. Being a hybrid, obviously it wants to eke out as much efficiency as possible. We've got black mirror caps and black detailing around the windows. We've got some roof bars as well on the top of the roof, and this model has a sunroof as well. But generally you can see just how smooth this design is. There's a bit of a skirt that pops out towards the bottom, but this is very smooth. There's no big deep creases. There is a bit of a shoulder line going along the top of the doors here. But let's go and have a look at the back, because you can obviously see this is the estate, so there's going to be a much bigger boot than the saloon C Class. But you can see we've got the familiar lights here at the back. You've got dual exhaust exits, but unfortunately they are fake. And we've got the badge here, C300E, which means that this is a hybrid powertrain. And that causes a few problems when we open up the boot, because when I do, electronically of course, you can see there is a bit of a ridge here on the boot floor. Now if you go for one of the standard petrol or diesel models, the C Class is just a tiny bit smaller than that of the 3 Series and the A4, about 25 litres difference. But when you go for the plug-in hybrid, this ridge appears, and that loses you 140 litres of boot space, which means if you go for the saloon, the boot is actually smaller than that of an A Class. So something to think about if you are looking for a plug-in hybrid. In terms of features back here, we've got the usual tie-down hooks in all corners. We've got a couple of straps and hooks for hanging your shopping off. We've got a couple of buttons for lowering the back seats, and we do have bags for the cables, which are tethered down to stop them rolling about. But because there's no space under the floor at all, that's where those live. Anyway, let's close that up, head into the back seats and see how I fit. Okay, so in terms of room for me, this seat is set up in my driving position, and for reference I'm 6'2" or 188 centimeters tall. And as you can see, even though these seats are very sculpted and have cutouts for my knees, I can't really sit them behind myself. Headroom though is a lot better. I can sit all the way up straight. My head does just about touch. The sunroof does eat a little bit into that space, but if I wanted to, I can slouch a little bit and I wouldn't be particularly uncomfortable in the back. I have to say that it's the same in most of this car's rivals for me, so this is not out of the ordinary. Don't think that it's really small back here. I am just quite tall. In terms of features that we've got back here, we've got a armrest here in the middle with no cup holders, but if I press this here, I do have a pen holder. I think I'd rather have a cup holder though. If I pop that back up, we've got door pockets of a pretty decent size. You can fit a bottle of water in there, no problem. In terms of materials, we've got nice soft leathery stuff here on the door, bit of piano black. Not a fan of piano black, but it's quite nice. Bit of brushed metallic stuff going on here, although it's probably plastic. Down here in the center, you've got your air vents. There's no ability to actually change the temperature back here. You don't have your own climate zone, so you just have to ask up front very nicely. Alcantara on the center of the seats as well to stop you moving about. Speaking of the seats, if I was in this middle one, it is very narrow and a bit higher than the other two, and there is quite a large hump in the floor here. So if I was wanting to carry 3 abreast in here, I think I would be fighting for both shoulder and foot room. We've got some aeroplane style back seat pockets as well, and of course you've got Isofix mounting points on both the outer seats. But let's hop up front and see what's going on there. Right up here, and there is a distinct feeling of premiumness and luxury because I've got fantastic use of materials, same as in the back. Nice soft touch, nice blend of metallic, different patterns here around the center console. It's not all piano black, which is nice. It is still plastic, but it at least looks a bit different, and because it's not just black, it lifts the cabin, makes it feel a bit lighter. There's air vents in the center, on the side. You've got mood lighting around various bits of the cabin as well. That really helps lift the interior too. This steering wheel is absolutely lovely. I love the design of the new Mercedes-Benz steering wheel with its like 2 prongs coming off each side. So it's actually a 5-spoke steering, well, 6-spoke technically, because that is also separate here on the bottom part. And all of the switch gear and everything you touch feels really nice, which is good. On that steering wheel, you've got your controls for your digital driver's display, so you can move through different menus on that if you want to. You've got stuff for your phone, your volume, all that's on this side. And then on the other side, you've got controls for your adaptive cruise control, which again is going to be handy if you do a lot of motorway miles. You've got the latest version of Mercedes-Benz UX system. So I've got a couple of haptic buttons further down here along the bottom of the screen, so I can change the volume like that by pressing it. Obviously you can do it on the steering wheel, but there are shortcut buttons for getting to the car's various different modes, the parking sensors, the battery sort of range. And speaking of, it says we've got 73% battery, and that's a 45-mile range, and you can charge that at a maximum DC of 20 kilowatts. So it's really only for a wall box at home. You wouldn't take it to a fast charger to do that. You do have a constant climate control band at the bottom of the screen, but it is still controlled by using the screen, which ultimately I'd rather have physical climate controls, but to be fair, it seems to respond quickly enough and it works, so I can't complain too much. In terms of practical features, under this lid we've got 2 cup holders, which the bottle of water that fits nicely in the door pocket can slot into very easily. There's also 2 USB-C ports in there, as well as a pad for your phone to charge on. If I press this button, it opens up the central cubby as well, which is a decent size, and again has another charging port in it. The glove box is a reasonable size. It's actually 2-tiered, so you can put the manual in one and some other stuff in the other. Overall, really impressive, luxurious feeling interior. So I think what's best to do now is head out and drive it. Right, out in the new C Class, and I think I'll start by talking about how it feels to drive this car, because it's very comfortable and quiet, and it's not sporty. It's not trying to compete, in my opinion, with rivals from BMW, for example. It's way more dialed into that comfortable cruiser rather than a backroad barnstormer sort of thing that BMW have going on. I feel very relaxed in this car. I feel like I could do a lot of miles. And speaking of, you can get petrol, diesel, plug-in hybrid, anything you want basically that suits your lifestyle best. This plug-in hybrid that I'm driving at the moment has basically mainly been using the electric battery to power us along for the majority of the time. Obviously, if I put my foot down, the engine comes in and then we do take off. It is quick, and the hybrid system seems pretty well integrated. Apart from the engine noise, there's no real huge disjointness between when the engine is and isn't powering the car. On back roads, the ride is very floaty, I would say, almost. Not wayward or, you know, not that you can't figure out what it's doing. It's just very pleasant. And then in terms of steering and steering feel, it is quite numb in terms of the feedback that you get from the wheel when you turn it. But as I said, it's not really a sporty car. It's very light steering as well. You know, I can change my modes if I want to, hybrid into sport, and then the steering does weight up and the engine does come on and the throttle response is faster. But I think most people, most of the time, are just going to be enjoying being able to use the hybrid system because it can figure itself out pretty well. So one thing I must mention is that you have a fingerprint reader here. So if you did own the car, which I obviously don't, you can register your fingerprint and then it'll have your driver settings as you want them when you get in, which is a really great way of doing that. But also you can dial in some of the safety stuff to be assigned to your fingerprint as well. Not everything, obviously the speed bonger still has to be on because that's mandatory, but there is a nice little shortcut that's constantly on the screen, which I just press that top corner of the screen and now it's muted the speed warning sign recognition system, so it isn't going to constantly bong and beep at me. And having that there as a shortcut on that screen is of a huge benefit. A lot of cars you have to go deep buried into the systems and it never quite works and it's slick, it's not really slick and it's very annoying, and that is a nice feature that sort of adds to the overall feeling that I get from this car, which is it just wants you to be relaxed. It's cosseting, it's quiet, doesn't want to fuss on and cause any annoyance. It just wants to get on, do the miles and do it in comfort. Okay, so we're in a village/town now, so I can get a better understanding of what the ride is like. We've got some speed bumps, absorbs it really nicely, no big crashing noises coming into the cabin as well. Also, when you're around town, you can find sometimes on these plug-in hybrid models that the brake calibration isn't really as good as it could be because of the jerkiness between using the electric and petrol/diesel power. But this one seems very nicely integrated and very easy to judge right from the off as well. There's no real thinking time. But that's probably enough wittering on from me. So with that in mind, let's go back and I will do a conclusion. Right, okay then, the Mercedes-Benz C Class. What are my thoughts? Well, it's very comfortable, very quiet. It's not trying to be as sporty as its BMW counterparts. It's full of tech. You can get it petrol, with hybrids, diesels. It caters to all needs, and in this estate form it's pretty practical, so it is worth a look at. And if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, comment down below, let me know your thoughts on the new C Class, but most importantly, please do subscribe to the Buckle Up YouTube channel and ding the notification bell so you never miss one of our uploads. If you want to support what we do, there are links in the description to our social medias. You can go and follow us there, you can become a channel member, or you can buy some channel merch. So thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.